loved ones and friends, in my children's school, and on the 12th anniversary of my son's birth. So forgive me for being overwhelmed. And as a sentimental aging Italian who realizes that these moments don't happen every day, I feel compelled to express myself. So above all things, I am brimming with gratitude, like a warm ocean tide on a summer afternoon. The undercurrent of this gratitude would sweep me away were I not grounded by my very glaring recognition of my feelings of unworthiness and my own noteworthy frailties, my unattractive paroxysms of self-absorption, sensitivity, self-doubt. I am a flawed man, and I am aware of it. I'm afraid that somehow I must have fooled you all, and that I will fail you miserably. I want so very much not to disappoint you and to make you proud. The fear propels me, and the challenge beckons me to redouble my efforts to ensure that I do right by all of you. So I therefore humbly accept and reconcile your trust in my abilities to the extent that an inherently fallible man possibly could bear. In this moment, it is the gratitude that prevails, and I'm struck by how much of an impact all of you have made, and I'd like to take this moment, if I can get through it, to pay tribute to all of you. The enunciation of such gratitude must start here. I am grateful for the incredible fortune that allows me to gift this moment to my father, and the pride you must feel. You are the OG. You are the greatest teacher I will ever know. My mother was diagnosed with brain cancer when I was 2 years old. She died when she was 33. 33. You carried the burden of two parents, the burden of this outcome. Rearing a child who didn't know what was happening, providing for me a stable life with an upward trajectory, so that the underbelly of my circumstances, my past, would not drastically arc the slope of my future. Simply, I wouldn't be here today, standing here if it weren't for you. I love you.
Love you, Dave.
I am grateful for this irony that my mother's premature demise allowed me to live my life more fully by being more aware of its precariousness, that I was living on borrowed time, that I needed to pack in quests, chapters, and inspirations before it was too late. My mother's death breathed into me life. I'm grateful to my other mother, who is here today, who married my father and acquired a precocious 9-year-old know-it-all in the process. You are my polish, making me a more likable person, less bookish, more human. You paraded into my world culture and art and music, humor, wit, and self-deprecation, emotional expressiveness, empathy. I'm grateful to my beautiful siblings, my first foxhole. You know my unvarnished nuances, my secrets, my private joys, my fears. I can't look at you. You are my safe space. You are my oasis. I'm grateful to my beautiful children and my beloved Dan, who I also can't look at right now. The most level-headed, unflappable man I know, my partner in everything. You've made a beautiful home for all of us, and everything we've done over these last 20 years, we've done together. We're seemingly out of outrageous inspirations. We're forced to run marathons and run for political office to keep ourselves engaged. I love you for everything you are, and as its newest member, for what you will bring to this town school board. Congratulations. I'm grateful to my extended family, my work family, my dental school colleagues, my patients who are here, and friends, old and new, who are showing their support tonight as they have always. I'm grateful to my new friends within the Hunterdon County Republican Party, particularly County Commissioner Director John Lanza, who did me the honor of swearing me in today. Sue Soloway, Ross, Kyle, Nick, Vinny, JJ, Paul, Thomas, Bella, you've all embraced me from the beginning, and I've always felt welcome. We've become close and trusted friends. Your embrace and my victory stand as a testament to how irrevocably irrelevant sexual orientation has become for my party in the years to come. I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm proud of the message that we're sending out as modern Republicans. I'm grateful to my fellow colleagues on this township committee and to Ella and Grace. Rich, you have been my partner through all of this, and my respect for you has grown over these last few days, particularly these last few days. Bruce, you've been my longest standing friend in this town, and you've never wavered. And Frank and Paige, I'm stupefied by your grace in nominating me for mayor. I will never forget this act of generosity and your show of trust in me. I will listen to you, and I will not let you down. And I'm grateful to the members of Mindshare and my extraordinary township community, my new brothers and sisters, my journey's constellation of stars, variegated and resplendent. You gave this unmitigated extrovert a destination, a perfect furlough from the many months of COVID isolation from others, a chance to re-engage, a chance for me to listen, and a chance to become more human again. It will be an honor to serve you. Okay. Finally, there's one more person to whom I would like to pay tribute. Can I get my water, actually? There's one more person to whom I would like to pay tribute. I knocked on nearly 900 doors in this town, but I did not end up knocking on hers. She knocked on mine a long time ago. She loved me, she loved my family, and she loved Strufoli. Yeah. My Nana, my father's mother and 4'9" spark plug, grew up in a turn-of-the-century Italian-American family, harnessed by the hard-scrabble streets of New York, forced to forego a formal education, an education that came naturally to her, in order to help put food on the table for her parents and her siblings. She married young, raised 2 children in a modest home in Astoria, Queens, and spent most of her life with her husband, my grandfather, and my namesake for my son, Dominic. Much later on in her life, she uprooted this home, and they moved abruptly and without hesitation to suburban New Jersey to create roots for me, a 2-year-old, 4-eyed prodigy in training, a motherless child. Alongside my father, she focused on my academic pursuits, on memorization and speed. Multiplication flashcards became lunchtime staples when I was 4. It was states when I was 5, state capitals at 6, US presidents at 7. Any challenge, any feat of memorization or applied intelligence was applauded, fostered. She kept her seat in the front row when I took my act on the road, thrilling others and pissing off my cousins. God was in the details, and we paid very close attention to it. Perfect penmanship and order of objects and of thoughts were sacrosanct. Rules were not negotiable. My Nana arranged play dates for me with my teachers. It's true. He came over from time to time to play word games with me, marveling at our latest acts of memorization. I had very few friends my age then. The elderly became my tribe, my ride or dies. My grandparents, of course, and the inhabitants of the nursing home who clapped loudly for my impromptu boisterous piano performances in the common room as my mother faded away down the hall. I understand only now what she and my father had done. Academic excellence, challenges, and inspirations became the necessary preoccupation, the replacement for my mother, turning the focus away from loss and onto achievement and admiration. They wanted to make sure I understand that in the face of our struggles, I was boundless, I was memorable, I was loved. But the most vivid characteristic I recall about my Nana had nothing to do with academics. It was how she was with people. She talked to everyone, from the neighbor down the street to the cashier at ShopRite to the teller at the bank. It took forever to get home. Their status, their rank, their importance meant nothing to her. She knew them and engaged them all. She was Napolitan napalm, an explosive, positive energy with an enormous human radius. I took it all in joyfully, observing her hold court as I held her arthritic hand down the aisle. Recently, a patient asked me of all things to read my palm. And my hand in his, he asked me, I see you have had someone in your life who is close to you and who you've been emulating all your life. Someone who had a profound impact on you. Who is this person? Instantly, I blurted the words out as if pressure released, unearthed for the very first time. My grandmother. It was like a reflex. 50 years from the time she became my accidental guardian, stand-in mother and teacher, and 3 decades removed from her passing, it became clear to me at once. I've spent my life trying to imitate and channel my Nana. My first friend, my favorite politician. She would have been very proud of me right now in this moment, and my name would not be David. If you were standing next to her, she would put you in her whispering crosshairs, poke you eagerly, and say, that right there, that's my grandson. He's special. And she would remember your name. All right, I got that part out. So in closing, let me now share with you my secret agenda for this township as committeeman. Because I most definitely have one, and now that I'm here, you should know what it is. Let me splash onto a blank canvas the 3 colors of my flag, the pledges of allegiance on which I stand. First, I pledge to listen without prejudice. 30 years ago at college, my fellow conservatives and I would have impassioned arguments with our more liberal friends on topics like abortion, death penalty, and the like. We fought, we screamed even, and then we went to dinner together. This just doesn't happen anymore. Seismic forces have wedged between us an enormous fault line, derived from the deterioration of listening, the suspension of reason, and the vanquishment of compromise. It grows ever wider, ever deeper, and increasingly, citizens, we, are the casualties of a war we never wanted. The discourse arrogated by shrill-voiced sensationalists, saboteurs, and sanctimonious windbags, wailing and flailing about on both sides. They divide us by design, shaking the ground on which we precariously stand. The cacophony deafens. It forces us to run for cover under the roofs of our homes, protected but isolated, the dissonance from our TVs and outside interferences turned off. Our minds are made up, battle lines drawn, preparations made for enemy fire. And as we hunker down, our worlds have become smaller and darker. The American political activist Thomas Paine once highlighted, I have always strenuously supported the right of every man to his own opinion, however different that opinion might be to mine. He who denies to another this right makes a slave of himself to his present opinion. opinion, because he precludes himself the right of changing it. 2 centuries later, such words have proved sadly precedent. We live in an age, inexplicably, where a moderate is a mealy-mouthed milquetoast, and an entrenched extremist wears the emblem of courage. When did this happen? How did we let it happen? The guidance we prescribe to our children on moderation, patience, and understanding, we simply can't bear to employ ourselves. We've stopped listening to one another, and worse, we've stopped caring. We've lost touch with our neighbors, our friends, our family even, ripped asunder over topics and agendas, lines in the sand. We've become less empathic, less human. We've forgotten that, as comedian Dave Chappelle recently offered, each of us does not have to be believed, but each of us needs to recognize that we all are having our own unique and human experiences. Where did our empathy go? We've reached a junction in which, to paraphrase the eloquent and liberal-leaning Stephen Fry, we are more concerned now with being right than being effective. I agree. This binary, zero-sum certainty needs to stop before we annihilate ourselves. As an analyst and as an empiricist, this troubles me. I am humble before facts, not opinions, not the bearers of opinions, not allegiances that might serve me well. I am indebted to evidence and to data. I will explore, I will test, and above all else, I will listen. My second commitment is to communicate clearly and cleanly with all of you. As you can probably tell, I love words. I've loved them forever. They fascinate me. I love speaking them, writing them, learning the derivation of them, using them. In my spare moments of relaxation, I'm engrossed in them. Books, debates, Sunday Times crossword puzzles. They're my oldest friends, my icons, my idols. Indeed, it is words, language, that separate us and our species from all others. They are our most obvious sources of differentiation, and bestowed upon us as a vast array of words handed down from history, with history, bespoke, precise, nuanced. With such words at our disposal, it gives us the extraordinary opportunity to take our thoughts and feelings and motivations and to use them, as the Irish poet Oscar Wilde once penned, to play gracefully with ideas. Somehow in modern discourse, we've lost our way on this. I intend to play my part in bringing it back. When words are not used at all, it is neglect. And when they are abused or misused, it is sacrilege. So I commit to use my position on this committee to communicate with clarity that every resident should be afforded access to communication, the decency of the truth, and the dignity of an explanation. My third and final commitment is to aspire to inspire. The word inspire is my favorite in the English language. It derives from Latin, and its original meaning was to breathe in the presence of the Spirit of God. It's a beautiful thought. And while it is not my intention to insinuate religious undertones here, I think its derivation connotes something extraordinary, something above and beyond ourselves that is taken in, is held, and is propulsive like jet fuel. I believe that the highest, most actualized form of leadership is when one can figure out a way to inspire others to inspire themselves, so that the inspirations become generative and reproducible. The key, it seems, to doing this is to recognize that each of us possesses something within us that is unique and extraordinary, that is yearning to break free and waiting to be tapped from our cores. Great leaders aspire to tap into these wells, their rigs in place, boring for individual energies of others, mining for mastery. This should be our vocation. We should be mining for mastery in those around us. Our rigs everywhere, boring and boring until oil is struck from many at once, and plumes of fire and energy light up the speckled sky. Through Mindshare, this town has gifted me this endeavor, and we've struck oil. Communication is lacking. We'll build a newsletter and we'll deliver it to your door. Community has lost touch, and we'll help to build the largest tree lighting ceremony in the county. And we'll put it together in 2 weeks. We've tapped into the relentless resolve of Bruce and Debbie, the creativity of Nikki, the steady-handed execution of Sue, Kara, Sandra, Betty, Brian, the unflinching positivity of Alice and Joan and Helena and Mary and Dennis and John, the at-the-ready support of Scott and Nancy and Bill and Missy and Sue and John and Bruce and Gina and Matt and Kathy and Mike and Jason, the wise private counsel of Ronnie and Risa and Matt and Shane and Susan and two Mary Beths, the unwavering selflessness of Dan B, and so many more. It's astonishing to see what we've created and can create, and this is just the beginning. It has taken me a lifetime to realize that mining for mastery was precisely what my father and grandmother did for me a long time ago. The energy was always there within, it just needed to be drilled. And now it's my turn to drill so that I too can make it understood. You are boundless, you are memorable, and you are loved. So these are my 3 commitments, my agenda as a committeeman: to listen without prejudice, to communicate with clarity, and to aspire to inspire through my words, through my actions, through my investment in you. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I'm a man who had an idea and went on a very long walk. You've in turn honored me by your trust, your energy, your inspiration. Walk with me. Walk with me as we resurrect reason, mind for mastery in one another, and we achieve extraordinary things. Where better to continue this unreasonable experiment of camaraderie, creativity, and collaboration than in our little pocket of perfection, a community of stunning untapped resources in an uncertain age, in a world that watches, in a township, fittingly, called Union. Thank you.